Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to showcase how to create my hexagonal lab in Palworld. We're going to start off today by placing 12 foundations in a row. There isn't any layout in this video, so it might be harder to follow for those of you who prefer visual representation, as most of the video will be sped up as it's a lot of repetitive steps. So as we finish placing all our foundations, we move on to the next step where you can see me place ancient roof pieces looking inward. So here you will see me placing the ancient bull on either side. Here we are going in again with the ancient roof in the opposite direction to how we placed it earlier, and just make sure you do this on both sides. And here we are just adding ceilings to the top of our hexagon, mirroring where the foundations are at the bottom. We are going to be placing 2 walls either side of our base here to basically create a box for us to start the next set of hexagons. We are going to close off the top of our box and bring the ceilings across all the way so that we have snapping points for the rest of our hexagons we're going to make later on. Here we start doing all the repetitive steps to create the hexagon on top of the box we just made. We will be adding glass pillars as the structural support for this build, as when you paint them black, they are nearly invisible. And we are going to repeat the same step on this side. Now just above where we place those glass pillars, we are going to create our second hexagon, repeating the same steps once over again. So once again, this is going to be sped up as there's not any new information for you to really learn. So on the opposite side here, we are just creating another hexagon using the exact same process as we were previously using. On top of the new hexagons, we are once again just creating another box to transition to allow us to add more hexagons. So here you might notice we are having some issues with the terrain. I will showcase some examples of how you can basically try and force stuff to clip into terrain and just work around the terrain, as there isn't really any way to move the terrain. You kind of just have to work with it. So now we are going to add the glass pillars going down for support. So, with the slanted roofs here, we are basically going to be snapping them along like we have been doing, and you'll just attempt to snap them into the terrain where you can. For the walls, the process is a little different, as you can utilize the replacement mode, where you place a triangular wall first, as the terrain often allows you to clip triangular walls in much further than you can clip in normal walls, and then you can use the replace mode to overwrite the walls. And here we are just going back to our repeating steps. There isn't much issues with terrain here. If you have issues with terrain, just snap from the ceilings we're about to place in a second instead of the walls. A lot of the times it will allow you to snap from those instead. As you can see here, the slanted roofs have a lot less of a issue with terrain collision. It can generally be just straight up snapped into most terrain. Here is some more examples of just working around the terrain, as the triangular roof have less collision. What happens here is my glass pillars are 1mm off the ground, so they are not actually supporting the build, which is causing the not enough support error to come up. Here you will see me showcasing the replace wall technique, where you place a triangular wall and then replace it with a full-sized wall. Due to the terrain blocking where I need to place pillars, I've had to add an extra set of glass pillars here. You may not need to add this. Okay, so here we are finishing up building our hexagons, and the next step will be placing the PAL box as well as placing the glass windows. So here we are just painting the front of the structure. We're only going like one tile. I will try and remember to provide the hex code in the description, as it is not the grey you automatically get given in-game, unlike the black I have been using. So now that the main structure is done, we're going to start on the glass windows inside the hexagons. The windows are set back by one to create a bit of dimension within the build. Okay, so we are using ceilings here to make sure we have enough structural integrity to place all the walls needed for the windows in the build. You can paint the ceilings black if you want, as it makes them slightly less visible. We will be painting the main windows a very light blue. I will have the hex code in the description. If I don't, just remind me and I will grab it. We are going to go through the same process minus the large gate and add this to all the other faces. There is 9 total. To the next step, we are going to go 5 foundations in. I'm placing the glass walls as a visual representation, and we are going to be building up where we are going to place our PAL box. You will need to destroy some of the slanted roofs and replace them in a second, as it will not allow you to place ceilings on top of them, but you can place roofs underneath ceilings. Here I am making room for where our stairs will go. This actually needs to be a too wide gap. I will break it in a second and correct my mistake here, hence why it's left in the video, because you still need to see me break the initial foundations. But here you go. This is where we are going to place our stairs. You can see it from the outside, but it doesn't really break the overall silhouette in my opinion. So here we are just going to repeat the window process on the back of the build. Down here I actually use just a small glass door instead of the gate I used on the other side, but it is personal preference. And you're just going to repeat it exactly the same way you did on all the other faces on the front, just on the back. Still one in, nothing else really different happens here. I just showcase how you can basically cheat the building system to be able to place into terrain more than you would normally be able to. So this marks the point in the video where we stop thinking so much about the exterior and we're working fully on the interior and opening up the space inside. So if you are not interested in anything to do with the interior at all, I recommend this is basically where you can stop watching the tutorial or tuning out. For those of you who are sticking around for the interior, this is not a full interior portion. It's mainly just clearing out and adding, I guess, what I consider the bare bones essentials, but in the lowest floor it does go over some extra detail in the interior, as I don't see much room for you adding workbenches in these areas, although you may surprise me. Here we are going to make a animated computer type screen to basically loom over the top of the first floor to add some extra detail. You need to keep the pillar. I replace it in a second. Otherwise it doesn't place correctly. You're going to place 6 benches on the 2 wide sides in total, so 2 rows of benches, and then you are going to place TVs on top of those benches, and it will be, I think you only have enough room for 2 rows of TVs, but if you remove 1 row of benches you can have enough room for 3 TVs if you prefer that. So here on both sides, you're going to be breaking 2 basically roof tiles to create a spot for some decorations without blocking the runway. You can easily maneuver around the base still whilst adding some life back into this first floor. So here we will just be going for a very simple design where we just add a fake rock and a couple of trees to either side, and we're going to do this in each one of these gaps. You can decorate this however you want and add a bit more variety, but this is just a quick example of just some decor you can put in to add a bit more life into the build. Here we are adding some detail around the PAL box area with basically the extra PAL storage. You can leave them on private if you wish, but I like the look of them, or prefer the look of them when they're on public. So I don't have too much to say about this part, but basically we're starting to square off the upper floors so that they are easier to decorate. You don't really have to do this in the slightest. It just helps you work around terrain, and I find it a lot easier to decorate a square room than a room with the slanted roofs, as you can't really place anything on the slanted roofs. So your center room is going to be 3 wide, with the staircase coming up directly in the middle. The original staircase in the original build actually goes up by 2. This one only goes up by 1 because I made an error. It is probably just easier for you to follow this video's version, but the staircase in the window side does get a little bit more finicky because I didn't realize this. When deleting walls and ceilings, you just want to keep the stuff for the main structure of the outside because you want to create as much room inside as possible, and those slanted roofs will take away a lot of space if you leave them in the build, which is another reason why we're squaring off the build, as it just generally makes stuff easier to place and gives us a lot more room than you initially would have thought you had. So here we are starting to work on the staircase up towards the third and final floor. Like I said, due to me misremembering the initial second floor height, this is a little bit more finicky than I would have liked and not a perfect replica of the original build, but it will still function basically the same. Here we are now just starting to work on the third floor, not really focusing on any details as of yet. We're just creating big open rooms for us to place stuff in. Here we are utilizing the replace technique where you place 2 triangular walls, and then for this technique we'll be replacing one triangle with a full glass wall and the other with an ancient door. Here we are just adding some basic doors either side of the windows so that we can easily access the other rooms. I originally was going to use a different technique, but you might see how that technique decided it didn't want to work with me today and I gave up. Here I am just repeating the same process we just did, but we're just adding some smaller, like, little hidey-holes where you can place some decoration or chests. Basically just small things that don't need a large room to add some more variety to the build. I personally just filled these up with plants, but it is open what you do here. I don't actually showcase decorating these rooms in this video. Let me know in the comments if you do want a like full decorating tutorial where I go back and fully decorate the rooms to show you how I would have done it. This is basically where the tutorial comes to an end. We are just finishing up a few bits and bobs here. There isn't really much left to do. Again, just let me know if you want a fully decorated tutorial. This video is already running long, so I wouldn't have wanted to add it in this video anyway.